I believe we're good to go. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Cole Alfonso, and I'm joined by my good friends and colleagues, Miss Hannah Legg
Good morning, Your Honor.
and Miss Melody Wu.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Together, we represent the estate of A.J. Maloney. And would you like the defense to make introductions before we proceed to pretrial, or would you like us to begin with pretrial? Please make your introduction. Yes, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Prisha Mehta, and today I'm joined by my co-counsel, William Choi,
Good morning, Your Honor.
and Viva Shimon. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
And together we represent Teddy Rosenthal.
Your Honor, first, we'd like to invoke the rules of evidence 603 and 615. Sounds good? Yeah. Next, Your Honor, we'd like to invite the court's attention to stipulation 13. It should be in the binder right in front of you, or you'd like me to read it out for the record. Both parties are going to be on them? Yes, Your Honor, just for the Your Honor's notice, it's stipulation 13, stipulation 15 collectively waive all objections to the admissibility of exhibit 7. That's the murder weapon in this case. I'm sorry, not the murder weapon, the weapon used to attack A.J. Maloney. And it's exhibit 7, it's the wrench sitting in front of the plaintiff counsel table. Okay, accepted. With that, we're ready to go right to opening. Let's go.
Your Honor, briefly, we just have one brief housekeeping matter for your attention to do as well. Stipulation 8, which is on that first page of the stipulations, the binder you have in front of you. This simply states that all objections to relevance and 403 are waived under the witnesses Gene Maloney, Alan Uchida, Umi Darwish, and Doe Snow. That's it.
Okay, so objections to relevancy are waived.
Yes.
And what was the other stipulation?
The exhibit 7, this wrench is in it.
Objections are.
Yes, it's entered in the evidence. And then
Yeah.
403 irrelevant, they're off the table too.
Any other stipulations that you know about?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
This case is about a violent vigilante. Gene Maloney, 17 years old. His parents have passed away a long time ago. But he's still got his brother, AJ. His brother, he dropped out of college, took care of Gene his entire life. His best friend. But Gene hasn't spoken to his brother in over a year now. You'll learn that's because his brother was beaten into a coma last year. You'll learn the person who beat him into that coma was a violent vigilante. You'll learn that violent vigilante was the defendant, Teddy Rosenthal. That's why today, we've brought a charge of battery against the defendant. Because you're gonna learn that defendant used this, a wrench, to beat A.J. Maloney. Do you hear that? That's solid steel. You're gonna learn that is what the defendant used to beat him into that coma. You're gonna see the medical records showing all of the injuries that he sustained. You're gonna learn about the doctor's efforts to bring him back from that break. You're gonna learn it didn't work. Because even today, Gene Maloney's brother is on life support. That's why we're asking for your support. Because in this case, we have the burden to prove that it was this defendant, more likely than not, beat A.J. Maloney. You're gonna learn that was the case because of two witnesses. First, that brother, Gene Maloney, well, he's gonna testify. And you're gonna learn that brutal assault wasn't an accident. you're gonna learn the defendant actually unlawfully interrogated Gene Malone before his brother was even beaten, asking about his brother, saying he was dealing drugs at some nightclub. You're gonna learn after his brother was beaten. That defendant came to Gene at the hospital apologizing. We're gonna ask you to consider how strange that the defendant not only knew who Gene's brother was, but knew that he'd been hurt before any news had even come out. Then you're gonna hear from the street. Ooh, Darvish. He's being a nice old man. May have seen him out on the curb before. He's gonna tell you he saw that attack, saw the moment the defendant turned into the vigilante himself. He's gonna tell you he heard the defendant colluding with the journalists about planning that attack. And Mr. Jury, it's gonna be clear. This defendant is a violent vigilante. Oh, the defendant, come on. They may tell you that the defendant, well, their attack was justified. They may even tell you that the defendant wasn't even there in the first place. But as I do that, I want you to keep in mind the defendant's action. From interrogating his 17-year-old brother, to the weapon that he chose, and to the mask that he left. That's why we'll ask you to find the defendant live for battle. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Melki?
Based on the story that Miss Lay just told you might think that Mr. Motherspaw is the most violent vigilante in the entirety of Tower City. That he beat AJ Maloney into a coma. It's a pretty good story. It's got a villain, a victim. It invites you to feel outraged on Mr. Motherspaw and Mr. Maloney's behalf. That was the full story. If we stopped asking questions, might we agree? Mr. Motherspaw, he doesn't look like a pretty good criminal. He looks like our only suspect. But what if I were to tell you that there was someone else who had every reason to hurt AJ Maloney? What if I were to tell you that that person was seen threatening AJ Maloney just hours before he was attacked? What if I were to tell you that there was someone else who was seen wearing the vigilante's costume that same evening on July 12th? That person is Darwish. Darwish wanted payback and a paycheck. But the explanation of why, it doesn't begin where the plaintiff started their story. In fact, we have to go back to years before July 1. You learned today that Darwish was a street performer who made a living out of making tips. He performed in front of the Hellfire Lounge for years where he would make the most money. That was until the victim, AJ Maloney, started working as a guard in front of that lounge. AJ would stop customers from tipping Mr. Darwish, tell him to ignore his performances and leave. So when AJ Maloney started cutting down on Mr. Darwish's income, when things got financially difficult for Mr. Darwish, he couldn't take it. He wanted payback and a paycheck. But here's the critical difference between this story and the plaintiff's. It's the plaintiff who bears the burden of proof in today's case. It's the plaintiff who has to prove it was more likely than not Teddy Motherspaw and not anyone else who might have caused Mr. Maloney's injuries. As a defense, we have no burden. So if at the end of today's trial, you think it's equally as likely Umi Darwish and not Teddy Mothersbaugh who caused Mr. Maloney's injuries, means that you cannot find Teddy Mothersbaugh liable. But while we don't have a burden in today's case, doesn't mean we won't be putting on a case. In fact, you're going to be hearing from two witnesses. First, Notice Stone, someone who was there at the nightclub the evening of July 20th. Mr. Stone is going to tell you that he saw Mr. Maloney and Mr. Darwish arguing that he saw Mr. Darwish in the vigilante's costume that same evening, and that he saw someone dressed in that costume standing right next to where Mr. Maloney's body was discovered. You're also going to be hearing from the reporter, Mr. Aliucci. He's going to tell you what happened in the alley the very evening of the fight, right in front of that club. That he was attacked, dragged to the ground, and thrown up against the wall of that. Mr. Uchida will tell you that he never saw the face of a person who attacked him and Mr. Mothersbaugh. Members of the jury, as you listen to the evidence and testimony in today's trial, you're going to realize that it's just as likely Umi Darwish and not Teddy Mothersbaugh who might be responsible for A.J. Maloney's injuries. And when you listen to that evidence, we're confident you'll find Mr. Mothersbaugh not liable. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff called Jean Maloney to the stand. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Jean Maloney. 17. I go to St. Hilaire High School, just down the street from here.
Said you're in high school. Do you still live with your parents?
No, I'm in foster care actually. In and out of houses for the last year or so. The people I'm with right now, they're quite nice. I can't complain.
Who would you live with before foster care?
My brother AJ. Mom and Dad, they passed away a few years ago. AJ dropped out of school for racing. Does everything he can, you know. Comes to all my parent-teacher conferences, cuts the crust off my toast, watches some of my favorite movies with me, Cars 1, 2, not 3 though. He always tells me to stay out of trouble, what he always says.
Were you close?
AJ's my best friend. Growing up, I thought he was the coolest guy in the world. Call me Little Bo. Little Bo, let's do this. Little Bo, let's do that. I'd always be following right behind.
So if you're so close with your brother, why don't you live with him anymore?
Someone hurt him about a year ago at work. He hasn't woken up since.
I want to talk about who may have hurt your brother. Do you know where he works?
Yeah, a nightclub, the Hellfire Lounge.
Have you ever been?
No, AJ didn't really like me going around there, but he'd call me from work. He'd call me every day. Little Bo, how you doing? Little Bo, what you doing, mate? Staying out of trouble, yeah? That was nice, you know, being home alone. Made it a little easier.
So has anyone ever asked you about your brother or where he works?
Yeah, on the 4th of July, I was with one of my mates just celebrating, and this random guy wearing a mask and this green costume approached me out of nowhere, starts asking me about my brother and the Hellfire Lounge.
What exactly did he ask you?
He shook my friend and then he turned to me and he says, "You know Maloney. You must know about the Hellfire Lounge. You better stop talking or else."
Sir, do you know how this masked person knew your brother's name?
No. No idea.
Do you know how this masked person knew where your brother worked?
No.
Do you know how this masked person found you?
No, I haven't a clue.
Oh, sir, after this masked person told you, you better start talking or else. Did anyone ever come asking about your brother again?
The next day, some reporter came with their partners. The partner was Teddy Mothersbaugh. Started asking me about my brother again.
After the defendant came asking you about your brother, did you ever see him again?
I did. The night AJ was hurt, I was at the hospital. Teddy Mothersbaugh, he came up to me again.
What did he say?
He said, "I'm sorry. Sorry for what happened to AJ at the Hellfire Lounge."
Do you know how the defendant knew your brother had been hurt at the Hellfire Lounge?
I don't know how we can.
Do you know how the defendant knew your brother was hurt at all?
No, I don't know.
In that case, I want to take a moment to talk about what happened to your brother.
Sure.
What day did he get hurt?
July 20th, 2024.
Do you remember how that day started?
Well, every day starts. AJ, he knows I love Eggo's waffles. He puts a little marker on the toaster and makes sure we get them exactly right for me. Serve them to me for breakfast.
Did you hear from him again that day?
He usually calls me from work, and I got a call. I thought it was him, but one of his co-workers.
What they said?
He said something had happened to AJ at work.
Did you go?
I mean, I left work. I went right away to the Hellfire Lounge.
What did you see when you got there?
There's police already. There were so many people. I was just trying to find AJ.
Did you find him?
No, they said he brought him to the hospital already. So I went. I practically begged his co-worker to take me. I couldn't drive at the time.
What did you do when you got to the hospital?
Went up to AJ's room. They led me there.
What did you see?
AJ wasn't moving. I called out to him. He wasn't moving. You know, AJ was this big tough guy, you know, in that hospital bed. He just looked so small. He never looked that small before.
What'd you do?
Wanted to go speak to him. Then he just started shaking. The alarm started going up. You know, I thought the nurses, the doctors, they'd come in, they were taking care of him. The alarms, they just kept going. Just wanted the alarms to stop, you know, I just wanted them to stop.
Did they?
No, and they wouldn't let me stay. They wouldn't let me stay with my brother. They had me go into the hallway with the alarms. In the hallway, the alarms just kept going.
Mr. Maloney, did you ever learn what happened to your brother that day?
Said he slipped into a coma. Been taking care of him, you know. No, AJ always taught me how to do everything. But he didn't teach me how to do this, how to take care of him. I don't even know if I'm doing it right.
So why are you here testifying today on his behalf?
AJ always told me stay out of trouble. And I know by coming here today, I'm not staying out of trouble. But AJ, he can't speak. I have to speak forward.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I've done nothing further.
Props, Your Honor.
Yes.
Mr. Maloney. If you need a second, let me know, right?
Chief, thank
Well, my name is Ms. Schumann-Vinta. I just have to ask you a couple questions on behalf of Mr. Mothers, all right?
you. Sure.
I want to start by talking about something that you mentioned on the grounds. You said that Mr. Mothersbaugh came to your house, right?
Of a report.
You said that he was the one interrogating you?
I came with a report. The reporter was asking me questions. This is my part.
I just want to be very clear though, Mr. Mothersbaugh wasn't the one interrogating you.
I guess he didn't say much, no.
He actually didn't speak the word to you, did he?
No, the reporter was asking me questions.
That's right, Mr. Maloney. Now, I want to move on to what you do. You know that your brother was working as a bodyguard at a nightclub, right?
The bouncer, yeah.
Yes, the bouncer and what? You know that?
Yes,
You know your brother had to accompany his boss to jobs.
sure. Didn't really tell me much about what he did at work.
He said he had to meet some suppliers.
That's right.
And like you mentioned, you don't really know much about what your brother was doing that night, right?
No,
That's because your brother actually told you to stay far away. Right?
that's right.
It means, Mr. Maloney, you weren't at the night on the night of July 24th, were you?
No. I wish I was.
That also means, Mr. Maloney, that you weren't there to see what actually happened,
No, I must have been so scared.
right? Mr. Maloney, in all fairness, you don't know if your brother's actually the one who threw the first punch.
But
Mr. Maloney, you don't know if your brother AJ is the one who started the fight, right?
no,
You don't know who's beating up a journalist named Ali Cheetah.
AJ would never do that.
In all fairness, you know your brother's a bouncer and bodyguard.
AJ would never do that.
That sounds like something a bodyguard might do, right, Mr. Maloney?
No, not AJ. He's kind.
I know you think that, Mr. Maloney, but I want to focus on what you weren't able to see that night. What you weren't able to see is who actually was involved in that altercation. You don't know.
No, I don't.
In fact, you don't even know if the person involved in that altercation was Mr. Mothers, right?
I sure figured it. Came up to me at the hospital. How else would you have known what happened to AJ?
I want to talk a little bit more about that night and why you think that the defendant might be that agent, all right?
All right.
Because I want to talk about the first time you ever met the servant. And that was on July 4th, right?
Guy in a mask.
Yes, the guy in the mask. You only met him for a few seconds.
That's right.
And then a few weeks later, that's when you saw Mr. Mothersbaugh at the hospital.
Yeah.
You'd agree with me that when you met Mr. Mothersbaugh at that hospital, you've been through some pretty traumatic stuff, right, Mr. Maloney?
What do you mean?
Well, Mr. Maloney, you just seen your brother unconscious.
That's right.
You just seen him bleeding.
Yes, ma'am.
You had to be escorted out of the emergency. Do I have that right, Mr. Maloney?
When AJ's fight started going, it wouldn't let me stay in the room.
That's right, Mr. Maloney. There was a whole lot going on that night when you think you're sure that Mr. Mothersbaugh was the servant. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the build, his voice was exactly the same. He said some of the same few words. I was certain it was the same person.
Mr. Maloney, in all fairness, your brother also has the same bill as Mr. Mothersbaugh.
Really?
Mr. Maloney, are you aware that your attorneys have already agreed to that fact as well today?
I mean, I guess not really like analysing my brother's build, you know.
Right, Mr. Maloney, well, I want to talk a little bit more about why you're in court. Because you miss your brother, don't you?
Of course I do, it's my best friend,
You loved him a whole lot.
of course.
You're pretty upset about what happened to them. That's fair.
The only family I've got, of course I am.
You think that the person who hurt your brother, they're a sick and twisted person, right?
Yeah, I do.
But on top of that, you think that person is Mr. Mother's, right?
I do, yes.
You want to make sure Mr. Mother's law gets what's coming to him?
I mean, if you'd seen AJ, I barely recognise him. Yeah, of course I do.
You want to make sure he gets what's coming.
Of course.
Thanks, Mr. Maloney. Your Honor.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Sir, when you saw Teddy Mothersbaugh at the hospital the day your brother died, how did you know he was that vigilante?
He pointed at my water cup. He said, "Where'd you get that?" And that day with the guy with the mask, he said those same words. "Where'd you get that?" Now I realised the voice was the same, the build was the same, and that mask was small, it didn't really cover much of his face. I don't know, it just seemed exactly the same guy to me.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, nothing further. May Mr. Maloney step down?
Any further cross?
No recross, Your Honor.
Witness.
This calls out Yoshida and Sam. Good morning. Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
Of course. Good morning. My name is Ali Uchida.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm an investigative journalist. I report for the Murado Times.
How'd you end up at the Murado Times?
Well, everybody's got to get their start somewhere. For me, it was the gossip column. I started writing for PMZ, botched plastic surgeries, scandals, things of that nature. No hate to Hollywood, it makes the world go round, but I'm glad to finally be doing what I've always wanted to do,
What have you always wanted to do?
investigate. Truth be told, I wanted to become a detective when I was younger, but I loved writing too much, and police reports just wasn't going to cut it, so I became an investigative journalist.
What kinds of things do you investigate?
Let me tell you, corruption, organized crime, politics, things that I think people should really know about.
How are you connected to today's case?
I was investigating this nightclub, and one of the bouncers, AJ Maloney, attacked me.
Before we talk about the attack, I want to talk a little bit more about your investigation.
Absolutely.
Why were you investigating that nightclub?
Well, okay. So I had multiple sources suggesting that this was more than just a nightclub, that there was actually this underground drug ring going on. So I wanted to see if it was true.
What did you do?
Well, first I started interviewing the guests in line and some of the staff, but I wasn't really getting much. So on July 9th, I believe it was, I went into the staff only part of the club and well, I overheard something pretty interesting.
What did you hear?
Well, I heard the club owner, Emerson Rajan, talking to one of the bouncers of the club, and well, they were saying something about moving a product, moving something on July 20th. I got shocked. It was something that I was finally looking for, but before I could hear anything else, somebody grabbed me. It was the bouncer, kicked me out, asked me what the hell I was doing, and that if I came back, that there would be hell to pay.
Did you ever come back to the club?
Of course I did. I couldn't go to the police yet. I didn't have any physical evidence. All I had was word. So I went back on the 20th.
Was anyone with you that night?
Yeah, actually. My boyfriend, Teddy, in all honesty, he seemed to be pretty worried about me. That club can be pretty dangerous, so I let him tag along, but he didn't go inside.
So how did this second visit to the club start?
Sure, I skipped all the interviewing and I went straight into that same hallway, but this time there was a crate there. And I opened it up and it was just filled with bags of powder and drugs. So I took out my phone and I took a picture of it, but my flash was on. And they saw me.
Who saw you?
Club owner, Emerson, and AJ Maloney. I heard Emerson say, "Take out that investigative journalist." Yeah, I don't know how he knew it was me. I showed up in a disguise that night, but I knew that I'd been caught, so I ran. I ran through that hallway, out on the dance floor, and there was a side door to the alley that I went out of. And I pulled out my phone. I was trying to call Teddy. I thought if Teddy showed up, that everything would be fine. So. But I wasn't able to.
What happened after you tried to call Teddy?
The bouncer, AJ Maloney, he came out the side door and he grabbed my phone and we just threw it on the ground, completely destroyed it. I was thinking to myself, I just had to get away. I tried to run towards people. I thought that if there were other people around, you wouldn't be able to get me. But I hadn't made it, 2 feet before he tackled me. I felt my teeth crack because I hit the ground so hard, just screaming, hoping that somebody would be able to get me, hear me,
You able to get away?
At that point, I was just desperate, just crawling. Fingers were bleeding because I was just trying anything to get away, but he kept on pulling me back to the club. And then he yanked on my arm. I felt, I heard it pop. Somehow, I got up to my feet, he threw me against the wall, and I fell down on the ground again. I just felt the pavement on my face. It was so hot. I had to think to myself, oh God, is this it? Am I really gonna die here? I was just trying to do my job.
Mr. Uchida, after AJ Maloney threw you up against a wall in that alleyway.
This vigilante showed up. Thank God that they did. They pulled AJ off of me.
they started getting a couple licks in at both of them, but to be honest, I can't tell you much that happened after that. The pain was so hard. My vision went white. I was going in and out. The next thing I remember was waking up in the hospital.
Mr. Uchida, do you know who that vigilante was?
I have no idea. Everybody's been asking me the same question. Nobody's asking me what happened to me that night.
Nothing further. Thank you. Yes, Rob. Oh,
Good morning.
So the truth is, you've already perjured yourself in this case, haven't you?
I'm sorry.
So you remember preparing an affidavit for this case, right?
I do.
You remember you had to be truthful in that affidavit.
Of course.
You remember you also had to be complete in that affidavit, right?
That's what they asked me.
Sir, you said in that affidavit that if asked at trial, you would tell us whether or not Teddy Mothersbaugh was a servant, right?
That's exactly right.
Sir, you didn't tell us whether or not Teddy Mothersbaugh was a serpent in your affidavit, did you?
No, I said if asked, I would tell you the truth, and that's what I'm doing today.
Well, sir, you weren't told that to put everything in your affidavit except for what you would be asked at trial, were you?
I'm sorry, could you make that up for me?
Sir, when you're giving your affidavit, you weren't told that you could put everything in it except for what you would be saying at trial.
No, but everybody was making this big deal about who this vigilante was. That's not why I'm here.
Sir,
I'm here because I was attacked, and I deserve to speak on what happened that night.
Sir, I'm asking you what you were told when you made your affidavit. You were told to include everything that you thought would be relevant.
Yes, ma'am, and the truth is, I don't know. That's why I didn't write it in my affidavit, because I don't know who the vigilante is.
Sir, you said in your affidavit, if asked at trial, you would tell us whether or not it was Teddy Mothersbaugh.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't include that in your affidavit, did you?
I said if asked, I would tell you, and that's what I did.
Sir, that a yes or no to my question, you didn't include that in your affidavit.
So yes.
Sir, the truth is, your testimony about this case, today's case, it's been wildly inconsistent, hasn't it?
No, ma'am.
Sir, could you flip to exhibit 2 for me?
Absolutely.
And you are exhibit 2, are you taking it? Sir, that's your patient intake form, right?
Yes.
And exhibit 6.
Yeah, I see.
That's the article from Murata Times.
It is.
It includes an excerpt from your article that you wrote about this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Looks very accurate.
From what I see.
Your Honor, plaintiff offers exhibit 6.
Any objection?
No objection, it's pretty good. Sir, in this article, you say that the bouncer, AJ Maloney, he ripped your arm out of its socket, right?
That's what it felt like, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, sir. You don't say that's what it felt like, do you?
No, but I remember hitting the pavement and my arm ripped out of its socket, thinking I might die there. That's exactly what I said.
My arm ripped out of its socket, your words.
Yes, ma'am, that's what it felt like.
Even today on the stand, you said that you heard your shoulder pop, right?
I heard it and I felt it, ma'am. That's right.
Sir, flip to that exhibit 2, that patient intake form. Sure, that patient intake form, it doesn't say your arm was ripped out.
It says wrenched right shoulder, no dislocation, but ma'am, They didn't even spend more than 5 minutes with me in the hospital. They didn't even examine me, no x-rays, no anything like that.
Sir, I'm just asking what the professionals at the hospital determined, and in that patient intake form, it doesn't say they ripped your arm out.
And I'm telling you that they didn't do their job that night.
Sir, is it your testimony that the people at the hospital didn't do their job that night?
Man, they didn't spend more than 5 minutes with me.
Sir, you've seen that patient intake form, right?
I do, but it's wrong. I had never been in something like this before, and this is not accurate.
Sir, now you're telling us that the patient intake form that the hospital drew up is wrong?
Yes, ma'am, that is not what happened that night.
Sir, are you aware that your attorneys have already agreed to admit that piece of evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, sir. On direct examination today, you also said that you felt your teeth cracked, right?
I did.
Patient intake form. Nothing about damage to the teeth.
No, ma'am. Like I said, they didn't do any x-rays.
Sir, it doesn't say any visible damage to the teeth there.
Not that I can see, no.
Doesn't say anything about damage to the jaw.
No, ma'am.
So you said your fingers were bleeding?
They were.
You don't need an x-ray to tell whether or not someone's fingers are bleeding, do you?
They were.
Doesn't say anything about bleeding fingers in the intake form, does it?
No, not that I can see.
So I noticed a moment ago when we were talking about this attack, you got pretty emotional, right?
Of course.
Patient intake form, the day you say you were attacked, says your blood pressure was normal.
Yeah, I was just going in and out of consciousness, man. The attack had already happened.
Back to my question, the blood pressure was normal,
What it says here.
heart rate only slightly elevated,
Yes, ma'am.
respiration normal,
Yes, ma'am.
temperature normal.
Didn't have a fever or anything.
In that case, I want to talk about why you're testifying the way that you are. Because sir, you actually have a personal stake in this case, don't you?
Sorry, you're gonna have to be more specific.
Sir, you're a journalist.
That's right.
Sir, you said I have to be more specific. I'm asking about whether or not you personally have a stake. You'd certainly know what you feel about this case, right?
Of course I do.
You know what's at stake.
I mean, I know that they're accusing my boyfriend of attacking somebody that night.
You know that you've published an article about this case, right?
Have.
Because sir, as a journalist, you'd say that suffering sells, doesn't it?
That's what people want to hear.
What people want to hear. So are you telling this jury what they want to hear?
No, ma'am, I'm telling the truth.
Sir, you told the public in the article that you published that the serpent saved you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what you called Mr. Maloney in that article?
No.
Does Hellfire Henchman sound right?
Man, he almost killed me that night.
Yes or no, sir? Does Hellfire Henchman sound right?
Yes, he attacked me and brutally.
Nothing further.
Redirect, Your Honor. Mr. Uchida, Ms. Lee just asked you a whole lot of questions about your condition. I want to talk about what happened at that hospital when you were admitted. Those doctors ever do an x-ray of you?
No, ma'am.
Those doctors ever examine your teeth?
No. He didn't listen to me that night. I told him what had happened. They didn't listen.
Nothing further.
Really?
No recalls, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm sorry, if we could pause for a moment, I just want to make sure the jury gets a chance to fill out the entire first page, and then we'll move on to the second page. So just let me know when you guys are done. Is everybody ready? On to the next page.
Yes.
All right, ready, thank you.
The plaintiff now calls Umi Darwish to the stand, Your Honor.
Excuse me.
All right. Permission to proceed, Your Honor? Good morning, sir. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Hello there, my name is Umi Darwish.
And Mr. Darwish, what do you do for a living?
Well, I started on the stage. See, I'm a performer. But after a number of years, well, the fourth wall started to crack. I just wasn't connecting with the audience anymore.
So, sir, what happened?
Well, I jumped through the wall. Not literally, I've got bad knees, but I transitioned to street performing. Traded out fancy stages for sidewalks and pavements. At least I don't have to pay taxes anymore. Right?
Sir, you might want to double check that. But first, could you tell us where you typically perform?
Of course. I typically perform right at this street corner downtown outside this fancy nightclub. I go there all the time to work, ma'am.
I want to talk more about that fancy nightclub. How often do you work in that general area?
Well, whenever the club's open, 3 p.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week. You may be wondering how my body can handle a 75-hour work week at my age. I am too.
That's quite impressive, sir. Can you tell us if you knew any of the regulars at the nightclub?
Sure, ma'am. There was this one guy, Nova Stone. By day, I'd see him at senior Sundays at the Jewish Community Center. But at night, well, I saw him at the club at least 5 times a week, smelling like a liquor before he even went inside. I lent him $100 once. Never got that money back.
Now, sir, I want to hone in on July of last year. Do you remember noticing any reoccurring customers then?
I don't know if I call them customers, but there were these 2 people that I saw hanging outside the nightclub asking all these questions that month. It was Ali Uchida and his partner, Teddy Mothersbaugh. And now, I don't usually answer questions without a lawyer present, you're welcome, but this time I did talk to them.
What'd you talk about?
Well, they were asking me all these questions about the owner of the club running a drug ring from the inside.
Mr. Darwish, what did you say to them?
Like, no, I mean, what is this, Breaking Bad? Look, I used to be a police informant, even worked on the Cohen case when I got my start in Brooklyn. But in all my time working outside the club, I'd never heard anything about the owners running a drug ring.
And when you told that to the defendant, well, did he respond?
Well, he grabbed my shoulder. He looked me in the eyes and said, "You better tell me what you saw, or else." Left a bruise.
Sir, I hope that shoulder's feeling better. I want to talk about whether you saw the defendant again. And now, sir, can you tell us where you were on July 20th of last year?
Well, at the club. And I actually saw Teddy and Allie hanging around that night in this alleyway whispering to each other. I heard Teddy's partner say that was where she was going to exit. She told Teddy to be ready when I lure them out.
Sir, what happened next?
Allie kept talking. She said, "Don't make it too messy. Remember, we still need to get information from them." Now, I'm no stranger to a mess or two. just ask my ex-wife, but, well, this sounded different.
And sir, did the defendant say anything when his partner told him, don't make it too messy?
Not that I heard, but right after that, I saw him make a phone call. Heard him say, Alfred, get my suit ready. It's time to take out the trash. Then he got into a black sports car and sped off. I mean, I was wondering to myself, is this real life or some cheap Batman knockoff?
Sir, did you see that black sports car ever again?
Well, I saw a car that was the exact same shape and color come outside the club just a little while ago.
Foundation under Rule 602. May I explain? Yes. Your Honor, the witness just testified that he saw the exact same size and shape of the black sports car that he saw Mr. Motherspot in and out of. Your Honor, this witness needs to provide further foundation about how he was able to identify whether or not those sports cars were actually of the same make. We need to be able to understand where this witness was positioned, if this witness saw the license plate, or other relevant factors that might help us assess whether that sports car was, in fact, exactly the same car as the witness testified. At this point, it's in this.
A response, Your Honor?
Yes.
A sufficient foundation has been laid. This witness has already testified that they frequently performed right in front of the nightclub, that was where they were positioned that night. They were present during the events of July 20th of last year. They saw that black sports car when it first appeared, and therefore it's rationally based within this witness's perceptions to testify that later on, they saw a sports car resembling the sports car they saw earlier, based on what they saw, Your Honor.
Objection denied, you can deal with it on cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Darwish, let me ask you that again. Did you see that black sports car ever again?
Well, ma'am, I saw a car that was the exact same shape and color as the one I saw Teddy get in earlier. But this time, someone came out in full costume. The Serpent, this vigilante type, trained in karate, and I was actually dressed as the Serpent that night too, doing my own cosplay.
Mr. Darwish, what happened when you saw the serpent that night?
Well, we were hashtag twinning, as my granddaughter would say. So I went to take a selfie when the Serpent just started running.
I want to talk about what the serpent might have done next. Did you see where he went?
I did. He ran right down the same alleyway that I saw Teddy and his partner go to earlier. That was when I started to hear screams coming from the alley.
So, where were those screams coming from?
Down the alley, ma'am, and that's when I ran down to check. And there was a gust of wind by me, and boom, there was the Serpent running out of the alley. And when I looked inside, Teddy's partner was laying there all bruised up, starting to sit up right next to one of the bouncers from the bar. He was in rough shape.
Mr. Darwish, did you know that bouncer?
Yeah. It was AJ Maloney. I had seen him working at the front of the bar before. He was bleeding, unconscious, and next to his body was the serpent mask. And about a week later, Teddy's mother's bar comes by, asking if anyone's seen a mask nearby.
What did you say when the defendant asked you about the mask?
I gave it to him. It was before I knew about the lawsuit, so I didn't think twice. I mean, I know it was right next to AJ's body, but I just hope there's justice for AJ. No one deserves what happened to him.
Thank you, Mr. Darwish. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Yeah. Mr. Darwish, you're glad that AJ Maloney is in a coma, aren't you?
That's not true, sir. No one deserves to be in a coma.
Well, so you're certainly glad that he's not working at the Hellfire Club anymore, sure?
Well, he did used to tell people to stop tipping me, so I must say for my business, I've been able to make more money, but that certainly doesn't make up for the fact that a man has been in a coma for the past year, sir. I would not wish that on him.
Well, sir, the truth is, you really never liked AJ Malone.
That's right, when he was around the lounge, sure.
You've been telling us on direct examination, you make a living out of being a street.
That's right, sir, right outside the nightclub.
Main source of income is tips.
That's right.
And the best place for you to make those tips was in front of the Hellfire Club.
Sure, that's my go-to spot, as I was saying.
It was until AJ Maloney started working the door.
Well, that's not exactly true, sir. They had a rotating group of people that would work the door. I never moved my spot.
Well, sir, whenever AJ Maloney was working, he'd tell all your customers to ignore him, right?
Like I said earlier, sir, that's right. I used to play a lot of Kendrick Lamar songs out front. Heard he was more of a Drake fan.
AJ Maloney told you should leave the block.
That's right.
Whenever AJ Maloney was working the door, you'd make significantly less in tips.
That's true. Like I mentioned, it wasn't great for business.
Lost a big portion of your income, sir.
When he was working the door, that's right.
So you wanted to stop AJ Maloney.
I don't know if I say that, sir. I wanted him to stop, but I certainly wasn't going to do anything about it.
Well, sir, you certainly wanted to shut AJ Maloney up, didn't you?
Well, I wanted him to shut up. I did not want to shut him up.
Let's talk about how you might have made that happen. Because you know that someone dressed like the serpent attacked AJ Maloney on July 20th.
That's right, sir. The person that got out of the sports car, I saw Teddy go into earlier.
Well, sir, you know that person, he put Mr. Maloney in that car.
That's my understanding, sir.
Like you just told us, you're telling the jury tonight that that person got out of that black sports car, ran in that alley, and put AJ Maloney in a coma, right?
Sure.
Sir, I'm looking for a number here. How many people at the Hellfire Lounge that night do you know were wearing the serpent's costume?
Well, sir, I saw two of us. It was me, of course, who I saw in the mirrors, and there was the other individual that came out of the car.
That's right, sir. You were also in that serpent's costume the evening of July 20th, sure?
Well, a knockoff costume that I made at home. You know, my granddaughter helps me with all the DIY tips, but that's right.
Sir, but you're telling this jury that you weren't the person who went in that alley and beat AJ Maloney?
Absolutely not, sir.
Right, instead, you want us to believe that there was that second person who assaulted Mr. Maloney, true?
Well, there was a second serpent, sir. I saw him with my own two eyes.
So let's talk about that, because you'd agree with me that the Hellfire Lounge is located in a pretty busy area of town.
Sure, right downtown.
There's always a line wrapping around the entire block just to get into the club, right?
And that's right. There's even a Chick-fil-A at the end of the line in case you get hungry, unless it's Sunday.
But when you claim to have seen the second serpent, well, it just happened to be that that entire street was empty, right?
Well, I didn't see anyone by where he went, sir. They were in a pretty empty alleyway. They ran inside.
Sir, what you're telling the members of the jury is that that entire street in front of the Hellfire Lounge just happened to be empty at the exact moment when you claim to have seen that second serpent.
Well, the area in front of the alleyway, sir, that area was empty.
Sure, the entire street was empty, right?
Sure, in front of the alley.
So if we take you at your word here, sir, you're telling this jury that there's no one that can confirm that they actually saw the second serpent, just like you.
Well, I couldn't say that, sir. All I can say is that I didn't personally see anyone right out of the alley.
There's no one to confirm that that second serpent actually even exists.
Well, I couldn't tell you, sir. You'd have to ask someone else.
So there's no one to confirm on that street that can tell us here today that you were in the corner performing your performances and not in that alley beating AJ Maloney into that coma.
Well, again, sir, I couldn't tell you that. Like I said, didn't see anyone myself, but there could have been people outside of my vision.
So there's nobody that can confirm your story for us today, right?
I couldn't tell you.
Let's talk about who you might want to take that fall. Because you really don't like Mr. Mothersbaugh, do you?
I haven't been a big fan of his, sir. He was, asking questions outside the nightclub to all the people who would otherwise listen to my lovely tunes.
That's a yes, you don't like Mr. Mothersbaugh?
Not that much, sir.
You used to have a job as a confidential informant, sure?
That's right, working for one of the cops in the city.
Got compensated pretty well financially.
I did, until I found out the cop was crooked when it came out in the papers.
Well, sir, you actually lost your job as a confidential informant because of Mr. Mothersbaugh.
Well, sir, when the article came out, it turns out that the whole confidential informant thing was a ruse. The cop that put it together, he wasn't authorized.
Well, sir, it wasn't just the cop that was the problem. Mr. Mothersbaugh exposed you publicly. You lost your job.
When that article came out, I stopped working as the informant.
So between Mr. Maloney stopping you from making tips and Mr. Mothersbaugh making you lose your job as a confidential informant, you were having some serious financial troubles.
Well, I don't know if I blame Teddy for the article that came out, but sure, money's been tight.
Sir, your testimony, you don't know if you blame Teddy Mothersbaugh for that art?
Well, it's my understanding that Teddy's partner was the one who wrote the article. Her name was at the bottom of the page.
Sir, but you'd agree with me that you also blame Teddy Mothersbaugh for that article that made you lose your job, sure?
Sure, they worked together. I saw him outside the club all the time.
Sir, you hope your testimony today puts Mr. Mothersbaugh in jail.
That's right, sir. What happened to A.J. Maloney? It was a real tragedy. The person that attacked him, they have to pay the price.
Nothing further.
Pretty redirect, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Darvish, can you tell us why you were wearing that serpent costume that night?
Of course, ma'am, as a street performer, well, it's my job to entertain. And for that night, well, I was doing a particular snake act called Umi Darwish Hiss All. And for that, I needed a costume.
Mr. Darvish, I also want to talk about that mask, the serpent mask that you found beside A.J. Maloney's body.
Objection, Your Honor, to Rule 611, outside the scope. May I explain? Yes. Your Honor, redirect examination needs to be limited to the scope of the cross-examination pursuant to Rule 611. The cross-examination never dealt with the mask that this witness collected. This question is now going outside the scope.
Response, Your Honor?
Please.
This is completely within the scope of cross-examination. Opposing counsel during their cross talked about the night of July 20th, the events that happened in the alleyway, and that also includes what Mr. Darvish found next to A.J. Maloney's body. Opposing counsel to talk extensively about the serpent themselves, and therefore I believe this question is completely within the scope of what we're allowed to discuss, Your Honor.
On your cross, you did open the door with respect to the costumes he was wearing, so that being said.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. And now, Mr. Darvish, I want to talk about that mask you found besides A.J. Maloney's body. Now, after July 20th, who came looking for it?
Oh, ma'am, that would be Teddy Mothersbaugh. He came by just a week later asking about a mask. When I handed him the one that I found in the alley, looks like the sun.
Thank you, Mr. Darvish. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, defense counsel no dissent. All done, sir? Yes. Permission to proceed?
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
Sure. Hi there, I'm Nova Stone.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Stone?
Well, I'm very involved in the local charitable community. I'm on the Tower City Events Planning Board. I volunteer with the Salvation Army, PETA. I even run the local chapter of the Society for the Vertically Challenged.
What does being on all those boards look like day to day, sir?
Well, it's a lot of meetings, but I'm not really a big boardroom guy. I like to get my steps in them. So most of the time, I'm just out in the community, handing out flyers, information sheets, just trying to raise awareness.
Have you ever heard of some place called Hellfire Lounge?
Sure, I go there all the time. Why? Well, it's a big hot spot in the city. There are always people there who I can go up to and talk to about the latest causes and the latest global issues. And their pet friends, so I can bring the door.
If you know the Hellfire so well, do you know any of its staff?
Sure, I've known some of them since they were shorter than I am.
Do you know someone named AJ Maloney, sir?
Yeah, he was a bouncer at the time. Once told me I was a loud person. I don't know where he got that.
Have you ever met Teddy Motherspawn, sir?
Yeah. Teddy was a reporter who was out there a whole lot last year with his partner, Haley Uchida, asking a whole bunch of questions for some news story.
Sir, have you ever interacted with Mr. Motherspawn?
Yeah. Last year, my neighbor, Susie Durkin, she came over to my house while I was on vacation and she stole my garden. And I reported it to the police, but they wouldn't do anything about it. So I went and talked to Teddy to try and get it covered in the press.
Well, sir, was that the last time you talked to Mr. Motherspawn?
No, I talked to her back in mid-July last year. That was the last.
Do you remember the date?
I think it was the 20th. Yeah, it was. I remember now because we spent most of that day in the Apple store at the mall. My grandson Timmy, he changed my phone ringtone to the sound of a goose honking, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it.
Well, sir, what were you doing at the Hellfire Lounge on July 20th?
I was just doing my thing, talking to people as usual. PETA had just sent out new numbers on marine life, so I was going up to folks, explaining the tragedy of the millions of salmon that drown in the oceans every year. I even had my Portuguese water dog Noli with me, dressed up as Nemo, really hammering the value of fish life.
What time did you get to the club, sir?
A little after.
Can you tell us how that start of the evening went for you?
It went all right. Had a bit of a kerfuffle in the bar because Noli he had flippers on as part of the costume and got very excited with all the people around him. Well, it turns out he couldn't really walk super well in the flippers, so he sort of just slid around on his stomach, bumping into folks trying to say hello.
Well, sir, did you ever see AJ Maloney while you were at that lounge?
Yeah, twice that's all.
When was the first time?
That'd be when I was waiting in line to get into the club. I saw AJ come out, smoke a cigarette, got into a little spat with someone on the street, and then went right back.
Do you remember who AJ Maloney got into a spat with?
Yeah, this guy's a street performer out there, Umi Darwish. We actually come from the same retirement community. I see him in the hall sometimes.
What do you know about Mr. Darwish?
Not a whole lot. I know he's some sort of a street dancer or something. He's always out there hooting and hollering, being real loud. I swear he's taken at least 5 years off my hearing.
Well, Mr. Stone, have you ever seen Umi Darwish interact with AJ Maloney before?
Oh boy, it's hard to miss when those two are together. Umi, he's always out there yelling. Odd fellow, if you ask me. One's out there doing dances dressed as the Michelin Man. But then, AJ comes out and they're just going after each other, yelling at each other. For years it's been going on like that. I don't get it.
What did you hear Mr. Darwish say to Mr. Maloney on July 20th?
Well, I didn't exactly catch all of it. I was talking to someone about the numbers, but I remember there was something about karma and a reckoning that Umi yelled right at Maloney when
When Mr. Darwish yelled at Mr. Maloney about karma and a reckoning, do you remember what Mr. Darwish was wearing?
Yeah, he was dressed up in this costume of the serpent. It's a local vigilante we have in Tower City. He runs around tying criminals to lampposts while dressed in all green.
Sir, I'd like to move on and then talk about the second time that you told us you saw Mr. Maloney. When was that?
That was later when I was already inside the bar, just sipping on a nice whiskey sour, and AJ comes right through chasing after Ed Allen, Mr. Mothersball's partner. They blazed right past me.
Did you see where the two of them went?
Not really. I mean, they were going real fast and they turned the corner and I don't move too quickly these days, so I didn't catch where they.
Well, sir, you told us that you saw Mr. Mothersball on the evening of July 20th. Can you tell us when that was?
You see, right after AJ and Allie went past, someone bumped me while I was at the bar, made me spill my drink. And I turned around, I told him, that was very good, you need to apologize. And then he told me something that I don't think I'm allowed to repeat in here, but suffice it to say, I was not very happy. I did what any sensible person would do. Tried to teach him some manners. For I know it's only and I have thrown out on the curb.
What did you see when you were thrown out of the curb?
Oh, I saw Teddy, he was just standing out there, and then a little ways over by the alley, there was someone dressed up in a costume as the serpent.
Did you see the individual dressed up as the costume in the serpent do anything?
Not really. I mean, I turned to look at him and they just ran away.
So when you saw Mr. Mothersball, was he dressed up in the costume of the serpent?
No, Teddy, he had a shirt on that was George W. Bush, but as a beagle.
Sir, you told us earlier that you saw Mr. Darwish dressed up as the serpent. Well, when you saw the serpent over in that alley next to the street, did you see Mr. Darwish performing?
No, I didn't see him when he yelled that, no.
When you saw the person in the serpent costume, do you remember seeing Mr. Darwish at all?
No, I don't know where he went, but I didn't see him out there, no.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Examination, Your Honor?
Please.
Ready to proceed, Your Honor? Good morning, Mr. Stone.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, sir. Now,
Hi.
to introduce, thank you. To introduce myself, I'm Melody Wu, I'm the attorney for the plaintiff. I just want to ask you a few more questions today, if that's all right with you, sir.
Sure, it's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you as well. And Mr. Stone, I want to start with why you're here today. And you told us on direct examination, you like spending time at the Hellfire Lab, right?
Yeah, great spot.
But Mr. Stone, that's a bit of an understatement, isn't it?
Well, what's an understatement?
Well, you're kind of understating how much you enjoy being at the Hellfire Lab.
I like the lab, yeah.
Mr. Stone, wouldn't you consider the Hellfire Lounge to be your second home, or perhaps even your first?
Yes, but since my wife Tina kicked me out, yeah.
And sir, in the past, you've actually visited this club, well, 4 to 5 times a week at minimum, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And 4 to 5 times a week. You did that for years, isn't that true, Mr. Stone?
Oh yeah, I've been going there since it was called the Gaslight.
And Mr. Stone, it's true that you'd rather be at the Hellfire Lounge than anywhere else in the world, correct?
Sure, yeah.
But actually, it all changed for you, didn't it?
What do you mean?
Oh, Mr. Stone, what I mean is, after July 20th, you were permanently banned from your second home, correct?
Yeah, turns out the person I got into a kerfuffle with at the bar was an undercover cop. The owner didn't like me getting into a spat with him, so now I can't go back there.
And now, Mr. Stone, we'll get to that kerfuffle you got into in a moment. But right now, I'm simply asking, you are permanently banned from your second home, the Hellfire Lounge, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Mr. Stone, wasn't the person who banned you the
The plaintiff in today's case, Emerson Rajan?
I thought the plaintiff was Mr. Malone.
Well, you're aware that Emerson Rajan is the administrator for AJ Maloney, victim in this case, right?
That's the first time hearing of it, no?
So, Mr. Stone, that's a yes to my question. Today, you're testifying against the man who banned you from your second.
AJ didn't ban me. I think I'm a little confused.
Mr. Stone, let me clarify. Today, you're testifying against Emerson Rajan, who is the plaintiff in today's case. And Emerson Rajan, he banned you from your second bill.
Objection, Your Honor, attorney's testifying. May I explain? Yes. Your Honor, the witness never answered that he's testifying against Emerson Rajan. Opposing counsel just stated that the witness was banned by Emerson Rajan and that he's testifying against him. Needs an answer before attorney can say, Your Honor, this one is attorney testifying.
Cross examine, she can make the witness. Go ahead.
Yes, Your
Yes,
Honor.
Your Honor. So, Mr. Stone, of course. Let me ask you one more. Today, you're testifying against the man, the plaintiff in today's case, Emerson Rajan, who banned you from your second home. Yes or no?
That's who the plaintiff is, then yeah, the first time hearing of it, but for sure.
Then I want to talk about why you were banned from that one. Now, Mr. Stone, you told us on direct examination that on July 20th, you saw Mr. Maloney and Mr. Darwish argue, right?
Well, it was a little more one-sided than that. Umi was yelling, and AJ was just out there smoking a cigarette.
Right, so you told us that on direct examination, but I just want to be clear for the members of the jury. You had a bit to drink that night, hadn't you, Mr. Stone?
Later, sure.
And that bit to drink, it wasn't just one beer.
No, once I got in the club after, I had a few drinks.
Yeah, that few drinks, Mr. Stone. You ordered 3 whiskey sours, right?
Yes, I love a good whiskey sour.
On top of that, 3 tequila shots?
Sure, yeah.
And that wasn't enough because afterwards you went and ordered another 2 vodka sodas, right?
Yeah, I wanted to change a pace.
So, Mr. Stone, if I'm doing the math correctly, that's 8 total drinks in one night, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But 8 drinks, that's actually excluding the one that you ordered before attacking another customer at the bar.
Didn't attack anyone.
Isn't it true, sir, that you shoved this other customer?
Yeah, I told him it was very rude to call me something. I mean, in my day, people didn't say that to each other.
Sir, is that a yes to my question? You taught him some manners, shoved him at the bar.
Yeah, pushed him with the cane.
And as a result, well, you were arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct. Isn't that true, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
And Mr. Stone, all of this happened the same night you claimed to have seen Mr. Maloney and Mr. Darwish arguing.
Yeah, that was all after though. I saw them before I even got inside.
Well, Mr. Darwish, you had 8 drinks that night.
Yeah.
You claimed that you saw Mr. Darwish and Mr. Maloney arguing the same night you had 8 drinks.
Yeah, right before I got it.
I'm gonna move on then and talk about what you could really tell us about the defendant. Because on July 20th, you noticed, well, the defendant, he had a black eye, right?
Oh yes, you look like me after my daughter found out I showed the grandkids Gone with the Wind.
Right, the defendant, he looked beaten up.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And Mr. Stone, he had scratches and bruises all over his arm, right?
Yep.
Now, you didn't see Umi Darwish with any injuries that night?
Oh, I never saw Umi again after I left the club. I don't know where he went.
That's a yes to my question. You didn't see Umi Darwish with any injuries that night.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see him.
Now, you don't know how the defendant obtained those injuries, do you?
No.
You don't know if the defendant was the one who put Mr. Maloney into his home.
Oh, I don't know anything about it.
But what you can tell us, Mr. Stone, is that about a week earlier, the defendant came to you. He wanted to ask some questions, right?
Yeah, he and his partner Allie.
The defendant asked you when AJ Maloney worked. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Mr. Stone, you don't know why the defendant was asking all these questions about Mr. Maloney, do you?
Not exactly. That they told me they were asking questions for some story about the Hellfire, the drug trafficking thing, but no, I didn't ask about that specifically.
Mr. Stone, you don't know what the defendant might have been planning against Mr. Malone, correct?
I have no idea.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
No redirect, Your Honor, we just asked that Mr. Stone be excused. That's fair.
Without claiming for us, our case will be.
As with the, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll take it from this